When the final breath of life ceases, does our ego truly dissolve into the endless space, or do we continue to pass through doors that human perception cannot comprehend? What if I told you that everything you know about death is a lie? Surely we have pondered questions about death and what lies ahead. Today, I want to share with you a mystical work that offers profound insights into life and death in Tibetan Buddhism, the Bardo Thodol, or the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Bardo Thodol, originally meaning liberation through sound in the Bardo, is considered the work of the great master Padmasambhava, consisting of instructions to the dying. Bardo Thodol was found around the 14th century. Before we go further, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more mysteries. This is no ordinary book about death. It's a spiritual map, a guide to what happens immediately after we leave this world. Don't rush now. Come with me as we step through this door together, explore its mysteries, and perhaps understand a little more about why we are here. This book was written by Padmasambhava, a legendary figure in Tibetan Buddhism. They say Padmasambhava was born in India and is widely known as the one who brought Buddhism to Tibet in the 8th century. The people of Tibet honor him as Guru Rinpoche, meaning precious teacher. But Padmasambhava wasn't just a monk, he was a true spiritual master, a yogi with profound mystical abilities and a wealth of secret teachings. Bardo Thodol was born out of his desire to guide not just the living, but also the departed souls, helping them find the path to liberation, even after the last breath has been taken. From a young age, Padmasambhava exhibited extraordinary mystical powers, and he was recognized as a Mahasiddha, someone who has reached a deep level of awareness and can manifest spiritual powers, things we might call miraculous. It was for this reason that King Trisong Detsen invited him to Tibet, hoping to expand Buddhism and strengthen the unity of his people. At that time, Tibet was a place filled with powerful spiritual practices and indigenous beliefs, especially the Bon religion. It was a very chaotic spiritual landscape, full of challenges for the new arrival of Buddhism. And I understand, whenever something new arrives, it is often met with resistance from the old ways. The gods and spirits of Bon resisted Buddhism, but Padmasambhava used his knowledge of magic and tantra rituals to tame these spirits. It was this integration of Bon deities and practices into Tibetan Buddhism that formed the foundation for Buddhism to thrive in Tibet. He later established the first Buddhist monastery in Tibet, Sami Monastery, and began teaching profound doctrines about the mind, reality, and the cycle of existence known as samsara. Bardo Thodol describes the 3 bardos, states, that the soul goes through after death and before rebirth. These stages encompass the process of dying, the transition, and rebirth. Each stage is seen as an opportunity for liberation from the cycle of samsara. The 3 states include Chikhai Bardo, death stage, Chönyid Bardo, encountering images and delusion stage, and Sidpa Bardo, rebirth stage. 1. Chikhai Bardo. Chikhai Bardo is the first stage a soul encounters after death, where the physical body ceases to function and the soul begins to leave the body. In this state, the soul is confronted with the clear light, the pure essence of the mind. This is an invisible light, free from the influence of the material world. The soul must recognize this light as its true nature. If the soul recognizes and merges with the light, it can achieve liberation immediately, without needing to go through the subsequent stages. However, most souls do not recognize the light due to their ignorance and unawakened minds. If they fail to recognize it, the soul moves on to the next stage, Chönyid Bardo. 2. Chönyid Bardo. This stage occurs after the soul fails to recognize the light in Chikhai Bardo. The soul begins to experience a series of supernatural images and spiritual visions. It is a state filled with illusions, projections of deities, spirits, and other supernatural phenomena. The soul encounters images of protective deities and wrathful deities. These images are not real, but reflect the emotions and fears within the mind of the soul based on its past life. Each of these images offers the soul a chance to recognize the nature of its mind. If the soul cannot recognize that these images are mere reflections of the mind, it may become enchanted or overwhelmed by emotions such as fear, panic, or desire, leading to the continuation of the cycle of rebirth. 3. Sidpa Bardo. The final stage of Bardo Thodol is Sidpa Bardo, where the soul begins to feel the need and desire for rebirth. This is a crucial stage, where the soul faces the pull of karma, the actions and thoughts from its previous life that influence the choice of its next birth. The soul will encounter images representing attachments to material objects or beings, such as images of couples or events that signify the choices for rebirth. These images strongly influence the soul's decision to seek a new body. If the soul cannot recognize that all these images are meaningless and empty, it may become trapped in an unwanted rebirth, continuing the cycle of samsara. However, if the soul maintains awareness and understanding of the nature of these images, it can avoid rebirth and achieve liberation. The three bardos, Chikhai Bardo, Chönyid Bardo, and Sidpa Bardo, are the key stages the soul goes through. These experiences can be opportunities for liberation, but also pose significant challenges for those who fail to recognize their true nature. The ultimate goal of Bardo Thodol is to help the soul, and even the living, achieve liberation and ultimate happiness. Life and death are inseparable parts of the eternal cycle of existence. There is no death without life, and no life without death. They are consecutive stages, where every living moment prepares us for death, and every death opens the door to a new beginning. This connection reminds us that our existence is not a random series of events, but a continuous process, where death is not an end, but a transformation. Therefore, when facing death, we should not fear it, but instead see it as a natural part of the flow of life. Death is not an end, but a gateway to a new journey. When the physical body ceases to function, the soul continues its path in the Bardo, a transitional state full of challenges and opportunities. During this process, the soul must face opportunities and choices that can lead to liberation or continue the cycle of birth and death. Bardo Thodol teaches that death is a process of transformation, where each soul has the chance to attain enlightenment or rebirth. Therefore, rather than fearing death, we should view it as an opportunity to move forward, transcend limits, and explore new possibilities. By deeply understanding the connection between life and death, preparing the mind for death through meditation and understanding impermanence, and viewing death as an opportunity rather than an end, you will live more fully, freely, and fearlessly as you journey through life. The experience of existence in the Bardo Thodol is not simply a script read at the bedside. It's more like a roadmap, helping us recognize the illusions that arise during the transition from life to the next realm. It's not just a book, but a detailed guide to seeing the true nature of consciousness, as the pure light of awareness shines during that first moment. The guide, in this instance, encourages you to merge with that light, recognizing it as your true essence. Imagine the impact of having such guidance, leading you towards liberation instead of continuing in the cycle of rebirth. This teaching suggests that death is not merely an end, but an incredible opportunity for enlightenment. So, what is the role of the guide in this process? Think of them as a trusted navigator, helping you stay steady in the face of the unknown. These guides, deeply familiar with the teachings of the Bardo Thodol, become spiritual anchors, helping you remain grounded amid overwhelming visions, gently redirecting your focus back to the pure light beyond all illusion. This is one of the deepest expressions of compassion in Tibetan culture, a companion who bridges worlds, offering direction when you are on the edge of the unknown. As a person approaches death, they are encouraged not to fear the radiant light that appears when consciousness detaches from the physical body. Instead, they are urged to embrace it, recognizing it as the very essence of their mind. Each stage of the journey is explained, from the peaceful deities representing compassion to the wrathful figures reflecting hidden fears and desires. Imagine how different your experience of death would be if you were prepared to face each of these stages, not as threats, but as opportunities for insight and liberation. This perspective contrasts sharply with Western approaches, where death is often treated purely as a medical process. In Tibetan Buddhism, death is seen as a spiritual journey as much as a physical one. This view challenges us to rethink how we approach end-of-life care. Imagine the peace of knowing that death is not a fearful plunge into the unknown, but a guided journey towards understanding your consciousness. The Tibetan Book of the Dead is not just a text, It's a companion that offers guidance as the boundaries between life and death dissolve. But you may be asking, can these ancient teachings really apply to my life in the modern world? Here's the transformative truth. Understanding death's mysteries isn't reserved for Tibetan monks. Anyone can benefit from the lessons of Bardo Thodol by living with more intention, practicing mindfulness, and seeing life as preparation for this final journey. What if, instead of avoiding the thought of death, you embraced it as a teacher? Imagine how it would feel to live each day knowing you're ready for the moment when everything changes, confident that you can face whatever comes next with clarity and courage. If you're ready to continue this journey with us, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We're in this together. You're not just a viewer, you're a part of the Mystery Tale family.